Will Ethereum ever go below $1,000 again? Well, there is a possible outcome. And today we're going to do a detailed technical analysis on what you want to be aware of and certain price points, momentum positions, and pattern positions as well. So if you like today's video, like, subscribe, hit the bell notification. Let's dive straight into Ethereum. So looking at Ethereum on a daily chart, since November 2021, we've been in a bear market. That was the top. We've been pretty much all the way down, right? So it's been a big retracement all the way from around $5,000 to as low as pretty much $1,000 or just below. The question is, what is happening right now? And that's what we want to look at. So I'm going to, just before I do zoom in, I want to emphasize markets tend to move in fives and threes. And as the market unfolds, we can see, is it in a correction or is it in an impulsive sequence to the downside? Now, what Ethereum looks like, just looking at it with fresh eyes, with no bias, is we've had this big move down, quite impulsive. We've had this correction to the upside. We've had another move down. Now, it's key that we understand that if a price does not overlap into the former wave structure, then that's an impulsive structure to the downside. Now, we haven't had Ethereum go back into this range over here, even though it's been sideways to up overall. So that looks like a correction similar to this correction over here, like an ABC structure, but drawn out. And that's very typical for a wave 4 structure. They tend to be longer than wave 2s. So this looking like a wave 2. And now this over here looking like a long drawn out wave 4. So that's really, really important to note. But what I want to pay attention to today is the recent price action. We've seen a nice big drop in Ethereum. What does that mean for the medium term, the next couple of months that we want to be prepared for? And there's a few things that we want to look at. So as I zoom in a bit more over here, I just want to let you know as well, I've created a new membership, a free membership area where I do a free Bitcoin report. You can now get access for free. I do a new video on Bitcoin because Bitcoin holds a lot of power over the market. And if we can see what Bitcoin's doing, altcoins like Ethereum and other coins of, Solana, Litecoin, and so on and so forth, there is a correlation between the two. So minimum once a week, I do a nice detailed update. I'm due to do one this weekend, so you can get access and you can look at the former weeks as well. A lot of value with a few extra goodies. So do check that out. So with Ethereum, right? Initially, a few months ago, back in June, I was looking at this to be a potential ABC type of correction, finish to the downside, and then have a nice continuation to the upside. Now, that didn't happen. What happened instead was more of an impulsive structure, which is typical of a wave A. This over here is a corrective structure. Why? Because this wave is overlapping into this wave structure. You can see that overlap. So that's the nature of corrections. This over here has been quite impulsive. So really, there's only two outcomes that we're looking at. But before I go into those, because we are getting a bit technical over here, but it's important because it gives us massive insight into what the market is likely to do. I love something called momentum, right? Momentum indicators. There's thousands of different momentum indicators. My favorite by far is the stochastics RSI. It's the blue and the red line below down here. Now, I'm just going to quickly go into a weekly chart. I keep it in the top left-hand corner. And what the weekly chart does for us is it tells us the macro viewpoint. And we can see when the blue line crosses below the red, it marries up with tops that last for a number of weeks. And we've just had another one. So what that gives us a clue to is the momentum, the rate of change, the acceleration or deceleration is on the downside, right? So the momentum is on the downside. So we expect or should expect the price to continue to the downside for a number of weeks until the blue and the red line are at least into this zone over here. So we're talking about 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks, maybe even up to 8 weeks. And that's important because that gives us a clue on where we should be having our bias. What we've had recently with Ethereum, like literally the last couple of days, I mean, if you've been watching my content, we've been expecting this correction or movement to the downside for a while. And it's been the biggest move to the downside since this whole sequence. It's bigger than any of these moves to the downside. So what this tells us is the price has closed below this swing low, that gives it a higher probability that this top is going to hold. So when I'm looking at this, this is the high probability wave count. Now there is a possibility we might get one more high. We might get one more high, and really what we're going to look for, if this does happen, we're going to be on high alert when the momentum is called overbought above this black line over here, these two lines over here. When they get over here, it will really tell us if the price is in this zone or if it's in this zone, but we are at or near Ethereum's top. Now, one of the other things I want to just bring to your attention, there's quite a few different corrections. There's types of ABC corrections. Now, if this is the correction and it does continue to the downside, really the price point that I'm really aware of that's going to give us a strong confirmation is this wave overlap over here. The price is it's around $13,020. $13,020. If Ethereum closes below here, that will be a strong indication, a very strong indication that this top is going to hold, and any move to the upside is just going to be a correction before we get a continuation to the downside. Really, really important. But that's maybe a week or two away, right? So let's just finish. What I wanted to say was the type of correction. This is not that common, is when a wave C, a potential wave C, does not exceed the former wave A. It's called an ABC flat. It's when the buying pressure is low and the selling pressure is high. So we'll tend to get a continuation to the downside. Now, as the weekly momentum is down, our immediate daily momentum is down but oversold. So we are probably going to get some type of correction, and we shouldn't exceed this high. If we do, we just need to reevaluate. But then a continuation, the bias should be down. So let's just finish on just zooming into this section of the market. Let's get rid of all indicators and let's just get really, really zoned in. So with this particular part of the market, again, there's a couple of different wave counts that I was looking at with this. In fact, it should be like this. It should be like this. And this is what I'm looking at, is a potential wave 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and finishing off this whole sequence. Let's actually draw that onto the chart. Because I know some of you got access to this chart, so I just want to make sure my thinking is articulated really, really clearly. 1, 2. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, and then a 5. Just going to update this just so you have it. And we'll change the color to, let's just make it green so it just stands out from the other colors. All right, so the key piece of information, just let's just summarize this, because then we're going to wrap up, is this low has been exceeded. The price has closed below it. That's taken out a swing low. That normally emphasizes that the top is going to hold. There is a couple of other wave counts, but really what I want to look at and be on high alert for is when the next daily bear reversal occurs, which will probably be in 3 to 5 days, where the red line goes into this zone and the blue line also goes into this zone over here. If the price hasn't gone into this range over here, because this is a wave overlap zone, if it hasn't gone into this range over here where the price is around $1,610 and we've had some type of pullback, we should anticipate another leg to the downside, and that may finish off a 5-wave move to the downside. Expect a correction and then a further continuation to the downside. So with Ethereum, biggest movement to the downside in a while. If we do close into this range over here, which is the $1,300 mark, then there is a good probability that we may see Ethereum break this low down here. And if it breaks this low down here, well, we're talking about below $1,000. So, I think that's likely to happen looking at what Bitcoin is doing. But again, we'll see how the market plays out and we'll stay on high alert. And whatever happens, As long as we're in the favor of the momentum, the pattern, the price, then we can make money on the way down and on the way up as well. So do check out the free membership area of the Bitcoin report. I'll be doing an update over the next couple of days. I want to go into a bit of detail with Bitcoin because there's a few key factors that we want to be paying attention to and keeping a close eye on, because it will impact low caps and medium caps and high caps as well. Let's finish on a quote of the day from my book. We're going to go with chapter 5 today. It's one of my favorites. Is Leonardo da Vinci. He says, simplicity is the ultimate sophistication. So there are thousands of indicators and methodologies of reading the markets, and you want to find the one that best suits you. My favorite by far is Elliott wave theory. Everything in life is difficult before it's easy, but once you get your head around it, it can be really powerful when you can really see that the markets tend to move in 5s and 3s. Is it impulsive or is it corrective? And once you can differentiate the buying and selling psychology and crowd psychology, very, very powerful. And then certain ratios, momentum, that can be really, really powerful. And then keep it simple. You want it practical and don't get paralysis by over-analysis. You want to have a plan, trade that plan, execute it consistently, and then long term, you should be a very successful trader.